December 2023, the sports world didn't just gasp, it choked. Jon Rahm, the man who stood on a podium and explicitly said, "I play for history, not money," had just signed the biggest check in the history of golf, $500 million. To put that number into perspective, that is more than the career earnings of Tiger Woods and Phil Mickelson combined at their peaks. Overnight, the humble Spaniard from Barraca wasn't just a golfer anymore. He was a corporation. He was an economy. But while the headlines screamed about the betrayal and the backlash, something else was happening behind the scenes. The moment that wire transfer hit, Jon Rahm's life didn't just change, it mutated. We know about the money, we know about the anger, but what nobody is talking about is what happened in the first 72 hours after the ink dried. Because the first thing Jon Rahm acquired wasn't a car, it wasn't a mansion, and it wasn't an investment. It was something so excessive, so over the top, that it makes a private island look like a timeshare. And the craziest part? He didn't even have to open his wallet for it. Today we are looking at the receipt. We're tracking the cash. From the secret perks written in fine print to the off-menu luxury items that money can't legally buy. This is the story of life after $500 million. And trust me, the buyer's remorse might be the most expensive thing he owns. Let's clear up a misconception immediately. You saw the headline, $500 million. You probably imagined a bank account balance updating like a slot machine. But the reality of the contract is far more complex and far more lucrative than a simple salary. When Rahm sat down with the Saudi Public Investment Fund, he didn't just negotiate a paycheck, he negotiated an empire. The structure of the deal was designed to make him unpoachable forever. Reports indicate that nearly $300 million of that total was paid upfront. Imagine waking up on a Tuesday, checking your phone, and seeing a 9-figure deposit. That is generation-altering wealth in a single second. But here is the hook that most people missed. The cash was just the bait. The real asset was the equity. Rahm didn't just join a league. He was given ownership of a franchise, Legion 13. In American sports, buying an NFL or NBA team costs billions. Rahm was handed a team. He owns the equity, the branding, the sponsorship rights, and a cut of every dollar the team generates forever. He went from being an employee of the PGA Tour to an owner of the LIV ecosystem. This explains the silence. You noticed how quiet he went in early 2024? That wasn't shame, that was business. He was busy building a front office, hiring executives, and designing logos for a company that was effectively gifted to him. He didn't just sell his legacy, he capitalized it. But managing a franchise takes work. And to do that work, you need a lifestyle that supports it. And that brings us to the first perk that shocked the insiders. The acquisition that proves Rahm didn't just leave the PGA, he left normal life behind entirely. When an athlete gets a mega contract, you expect the usual shopping spree. A Bugatti Chiron, a penthouse in Miami, a yacht in the Med. Rahm did spend money, which we will get to, but the most shocking change to his life came from a clause buried deep in his contract. He didn't buy a private jet. He didn't need to. According to insiders and reports from The Sun and The Mirror, part of Rahm's defection package included access to a Saudi royal private jet. Let that sink in. Most billionaires have to deal with the hassle of maintaining a Gulfstream, hiring pilots, paying for hangar fees, and dealing with fuel costs. Rahm? He reportedly just texts a number, and a state-owned aircraft, often reserved for royalty and diplomats, is at his disposal. It's a level of luxury that money actually can't buy. You can't walk into a dealership and buy diplomatic status, but Rahm essentially negotiated it, and he doesn't travel alone. The contract reportedly came with a fully paid-for personal team of 8 to 10 people. We're talking personal assistants, private chefs, and security details. All on the league's payroll, not his. This is the shock that had other players fuming. Rahm didn't just get a raise, he got a royal court. He walks differently now because he travels differently now. The days of commercial flights or even chartered planes with the boys are gone. He is now moving like a head of state. But this level of isolation comes with a price. When you fly above everyone else, you can't hear what they're saying about you on the ground. And what they were saying down in Arizona was getting loud. With the travel part of his life upgraded to royal status, Rahm needed a home base that matched his new tax bracket. Rahm has lived in Scottsdale, Arizona for years. It's the golfer's mecca. But a $500 million net worth requires a different kind of front door. While he already owned a beautiful home in the area, post-contract rumors started swirling about upgrades. We know he's a member of the ultra-exclusive Silverleaf Club, a private enclave where the houses look more like Tuscan castles than American homes. In 2024 and 2025, real estate watchers in Arizona noticed a shift. The market for $30 million plus estates in Silverleaf heated up. And while Rahm is notoriously private about his address, the life after LIV meant he needed a fortress. We're talking about properties with 14,000 square feet, 6 bedrooms, underground garages for car collections, and most importantly, high walls. Why the walls? Because the backlash was real. In the months following his announcement, Rahm couldn't walk into a grocery store without feeling the eyes. He needed a compound, a place where the Legion 13 team could meet in secret, where his family could ignore the noise. He filled this space with the toys you'd expect: top-tier simulators, a gym that rivals Equinox, and a trophy room that was waiting for new hardware. But there is one specific room in that house that holds his most personal obsession. It's not golf clubs, it's watches. And since the big payday, that collection has gone from impressive to impossible. If you want to know how rich a man really is, don't look at his car. Look at his wrist. Anyone with credit can lease a Ferrari. But to get the watches Jon Rahm is wearing, you need to be chosen. Rahm has always been a Rolex man. But after the $500 million deal, the caliber of the steel on his wrist changed. We started seeing him in pieces that you cannot find in a store window. First, there was the Rolex Sky Dweller. But not just any model, the white gold with the bright black dial. It's a traveler's watch, fitting for a man who now hops continents on a royal jet. But the real flex was the Rolex Daytona Le Mans edition. This is a watch that collectors would kill for. It was released to celebrate the 100th anniversary of the 24 Hours of Le Mans, and the waiting list is essentially doesn't exist, because the watch is allocated only to the VIPs of VIPs. Wearing a $250,000 watch on the course while practicing is a power move. It signals to everyone, I am not just a player, I am an institution. He's also been spotted wearing factory set pieces, Rolexes adorned with precious gems directly from the factory. These are off-catalog items, meaning they don't appear on the website. You have to know someone who knows someone at Geneva to even get the option to buy one. Rahm isn't just buying time, he's buying exclusivity. He is wearing his contract on his wrist. But no matter how expensive the watch is, it couldn't fix the timing of his career. Because while he was buying Rolexes, he was losing friends. And one specific lost connection hurt more than any lost tournament. Here is where the story shifts from lifestyles of the rich and famous to a psychological drama. Jon Rahm idolized Tiger Woods. Who doesn't? Before the money, Rahm was seen as the heir apparent, a favorite of the old guard. When the rumors of his departure started, Rahm reached out. He wanted to explain. He wanted to maintain the bridge. According to reports that surfaced in late 2024 and 2025, that bridge wasn't just burned, it was nuked. Rahm admitted in interviews that he texted Tiger Woods after the deal was done. He wanted to give him a heads up, man to man. And what did he get back? Silence. Tiger Woods, the gatekeeper of golf's legacy, reportedly ghosted him. No angry text, no lecture, just nothing. That silence is louder than any screaming fan. It was a complete excommunication from the inner circle of golf royalty. You have to wonder what that feels like. You're sitting on your private jet, surrounded by staff who are paid to say yes, looking at a phone that will never light up with the one name you respect. This is the hidden cost of the $500 million. You can buy new friends, but you can't buy back the respect of the old ones. And this isolation bled into his game. The 2025 season wasn't just controversial, it was bizarre. It led to a moment of irony so thick you could cut it with a knife. The 2025 season will go down in history as the Golden Paradox. Rahm played incredible golf. He was consistent. He was a machine. He racked up top 10 finishes like he was collecting coupons. And at the end of the season, he was crowned the LIV Golf Individual Champion. He stood on the podium, confetti falling, holding a trophy, and an $18 million bonus check on top of his contract. But there was a problem. He hadn't actually won a tournament. He won the season-long title based on points. He was the champion of consistency, but he never had that Sunday moment where he sank the final putt to beat the field for a trophy. He was the king who never won a battle, but won the war. In his press conference, you could see it in his eyes. He said, "I won without winning." It was a raw, honest moment. It highlighted the weirdness of his new life. He is richer than God. He is technically the champion, yet the satisfaction was hollow. Critics pounced. They called it a participation trophy for a billionaire. They said the money had dulled his killer instinct. Why risk it all for a win when you've already been paid $500 million up? The fire that made Rahm Rambo seemed to be flickering under the weight of his wallet. So what did Jon Rahm really buy with his $500 million? He bought security. His great-grandchildren will never have to work. He bought luxury. He travels like a king and lives in a fortress. He bought a franchise. Legion 13 is an asset that will pay him long after his back gives out. But he also bought a cage. It's a very nice cage. It's made of gold, lined with velvet, and catered by Michelin star chefs. But inside that cage, the applause is quieter. The legends don't text back. And the victories, while lucrative, feel a little less like glory and a little more like business transactions. The first thing he bought was the jet access, but the last thing he might have sold was his peace of mind. As we look at Rahm now entering the next phase of his career, the question isn't, was it worth it? The question is, what does he have to do to make us care again? Money buys attention, but it doesn't buy retention. And right now, Jon Rahm is the richest man in a room that is slowly emptying out. What do you think? Would you take the $500 million if it meant your heroes would never speak to you again? Let me know in the comments below. And if you want to know which other golfer is rumored to be joining him next, click the video on screen now. You won't believe who is about to sell out.